Hey guys, this is Ashley. Thank you so much for watching my channel. This video is going to be all about how I constructed this purple wig. If you are feeling the color half as much as I was feeling the color, then you really should watch my video about how I colored the hair. But this is going to be all about how I constructed the wig. So if you want to see how I did that, just keep on watching. Spandex dome caps are cool, but I really like to make my wigs with Deluxe Weaving nets because they're more breathable. And I always make my wigs on my mannequin and my mannequin tripod, as you guys can see here. I have a 22-inch head because my head is 22 inches. And these are my T-pins, my wonderful T-pins. And this is me going ahead and putting the cap onto the mannequin head until I feel like it's on there good, like it's on there straight. And then I just use my T-pins and I just kind of pinch up the side, kind of pull it taut on the mannequin head, and then just push in the pin. And basically, yeah, I just do that all around the cap until, you know, like it's pretty secure on there. As you can see here. And then once I have that on, the background's gonna be changing a lot because I was moving around a lot. I just start to sew the hair on. And I always put the needle through the weft when I'm starting the track. And then I kind of twirl the thread around the needle because it ties a knot. I do that usually on the end and a couple of times throughout the middle to really like secure the hair to the net. And yeah, that's how I start the track on the net and pull in some more knots there. And then basically, yeah, I just go across. Oh, but when I'm not on the ends, I just like kind of pull the thread through the loop, like as you can see that I'm doing here, because I don't pierce the weft the entire way going across, because if I do that then the hair will shed way more than it needs to. So I'll only really like go through the weft and tie the knot on the edges and sometimes in the middle so that, you know, the hair can, you know, really be on there. But yeah, not all the time. I just be doing my thug dizzle, my needle and thread. But okay, I'm like approaching the area where I'm gonna be flipping over the track. So I prepared for that by tying knots. Like I'll tie like a couple more knots, and then right here I'm going to tie the last knot, and I'm going to pierce both of the wefts. And then after I tie the knot on that one, I'm only going to pierce the weft and tie a knot on the weft on the top. And I'll do that like a centimeter or two like above the previous knot. And then once I tie that knot, I'm going to leave the weft on the bottom like free, sort of kind of like that. And then I flip it over, fold it. And when I do it like this, it's way more flat. I found this tip on YouTube and, you know, super helpful. And then, you know, just flip it on over, tie that good old knot, and that way it's way more flat. And if the folds on the wig are way more flat, that means your wig is going to be way more laid. You know what I'm saying? And the more laid, the more slayed. So that's what I always do. But yeah, those are my methods for sewing. There's nothing more to it, so I'm going to speed up the rest of the sewing in this video because I literally use the same methods over and over and over until I get to, actually no, not until anything. Literally I sew the same way for like the whole wig. I always sew on 2 bundles first, and then once I have 2 bundles completed, then I move on to the closure. I always place the front of the closure like a half of an inch above the front of the net. And I do that because it makes it easier to attach the elastic band later on. But for now, I just kind of center the closure on the net. It's important to make sure it's in the center. And then I grab a T-pin and I stick it in. And I readjust until the closure is like taut. Like you see how the edges of the closure is just really straight across. Like there's no gaps or bulges or folds anywhere. I just keep on putting in the T-pins in different places and pulling it until it's completely flat. And that'll help me because doing it like this, once I'm ready to make the wig, that closure gonna be on there flat. And then I put the hair into a ponytail to kind of get it out of the way. And I moved the T-pin. You don't really have to move the T-pin, but I moved it because I feel like it was in my way. But you can always just sew around it. And then I tie a knot the same way I did on the weft, on the edge of the closure, because it's really important to me that it stays in the correct place. And then, yep, I just take the needle and thread and I literally just go around to the other side of the closure. And when I'm doing the closure, I sew like really close together, because I want to make sure that it stays as taut and as flat and as stretched out as possible. Because with closures, like, it lays down better when there's equal tension on each side. So I make sure that I'm like the tension is staying there. Yep, until I get to the other side, and I tie a knot when I'm finished. Well, not right there, but the camera cut off, so you know what I mean. But this is the last bundle. So far I have 3 bundles on the cap, and I'm working on the last one. And when I'm doing the last bundle, I do not double it the same way I double all of the other bundles. And I do that because it just lays the flattest, like just to have the single weft on the top part of the wig, and then having like the single weft up underneath the closure, it just lays down flatter than it would have laid down if I would have doubled it. And as you can tell by now, I'm like a flatness freak. Like, I try to get everything as flat as I possibly can. So yeah, that's my reasoning behind not doubling the weft when I get up to the top. Okay, so this is my first time cutting the weft. Like, up until now I have not cut the weft, but I did right now because I was so pressed to have it flat and I didn't want to fold the weft underneath, like right underneath the closure, so I cut it. So you don't have to cut it, but if you're pressed like me, then go ahead, cut it and then attach to the other one and just keep on going. And I also did this on the other side when I was right up underneath the closure, because again, I want to just fold the weft right behind the closure. And then I just grabbed some scissors and I cut off the extra net underneath the closure, making sure I'm not cutting too close to make sure I don't cut off any of the wrong stitches. And then I grabbed some wig combs, drop a wig comb, pick up the one that I dropped. And this is where I put it basically in all 4 corners, on either side of the closure, and then 2 in the back. And I sew it the same way I sew a weft. I pierce the edge of the fabric, and then I basically just continue to pierce the edge of the fabric until I get to the other side of the wig comb. And I do the same process for all 4 of the wig combs in each of the corners. Basically, yeah, that's what the wig comb should look like once you're done attaching those. And when I move on to the next step, I just flip the wig up and I figure out on my head, okay, this right here and right here is where the elastic band is going to start and stop. Then I grab some elastic and I cut off a piece. I put it around my head to the same part that I figured out when I had the wig on. And I cut a little bit of the edge off because my band is just a little bit too thick for me. And yeah, basically I just cut off a piece and I use that piece, I use the wider piece, and I attach it to the wig, which is what you see me doing here. And I always start on the underside so that that knot that I tied will be on the underside and not on the top where the closure is. And then I also don't go around, I go with a back and forth motion. From the bottom to the top, to the bottom to the top, to the bottom to the top, basically, until I get to the other side of the elastic, and then yeah, then I'm done. And then I cut it with a little extra space so that I can tie it. And then I tie a knot, and then I cut off the extra string again, and then I move on to the next side. But it's really important to make sure that you do not twist the elastic, because if you do behind your head, it literally will hurt you. So make sure that it's straight, and then do the same thing. Get your needle and thread, and back and forth and back and forth, making sure that you start on the underside, and making sure when you tie the last knot is also on the underside. And I just take my scissors and I cut as close to the start of the hair as possible. And that's basically it. And after that, I just straightened it and curled it, and this is the end product. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me through this 11-minute video. Please thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you like the color, I do have a video on how I did it, so go ahead, check that out. See you guys later. Bye.